you, Acting President. I too rise to oppose this Greens motion on the public housing towers. We've heard a lot of contributions, and there's a number of points I'd like to pick up on as I go, and I'll do as I go through my notes. But we know that the housing towers in Melbourne are reaching the end of life and their useful life. And I've got some other notes I want to pick up on that as I go, detailing that. I think we want to see renters living in homes. We want to see our public housing tenants, our social housing tenants, anybody who's people who buy a home, people who own a home. We want to see people living somewhere where they are comfortable, where there is energy efficiency that results in them having cheaper power bills, where there aren't drafts coming through resulting in them having more expensive power bills or lesser health outcomes, where it is soundproof, where they can get good night's sleep, where they can live in a place that a place where they can find relaxation and comfort. And we know that these towers have provided homes to people for 50 years plus, but it is increasingly difficult to keep these buildings going with faults and breakdowns. This becomes more common, which becomes a safety issue. We shouldn't have safety becoming an issue due to ageing towers. So the desire to want to delay, stop, put a moratorium on the important work of getting on and building new housing is simply inappropriate and potentially could use stronger language than that. The current buildings, I've already mentioned noise, energy, ventilation, open space, seismic standards, accessibility and minimum amenity. And Mr. Batchelor commented on accessibility, and those accessibility standards are something that particularly people on this side have fought very hard for over a long period of time. And we should be getting on with delivering new buildings that deliver all the things I've just outlined and ensuring that tenants can be in these buildings. Construction is a construction. We've already talked about construction today. Construction is a difficult place to work in, let alone to live in. The dust, the noise, the dangers that come with it. We've heard today how it's one of the most dangerous sectors to work in our state. So to be living in, near or around construction is not something that we should be pushing on anybody, and we certainly shouldn't be pushing it from a place of political motivation. Now, I think over the years, various people who align themselves with the Greens have fought for good things, but we've also seen over the years various people within the Greens take political tact on certain issues that simply shouldn't be, because they're too important to be used as political footballs. And that this issue is one of those, absolutely one of those. And I mentioned before the age of the towers, the time they were designed, the time they were constructed, are not fit for today. And independent advice from structural engineers, from an asset and facilities management consultant, estimate it would cost $2.3 billion over 20 years just to keep the towers in a habitable condition. I also just want to briefly turn to the Legal and Social Issues Committee report that came out last November, and just touch on some of the words briefly from Homes Victoria CEO Simon Newport, who said, "The towers are prone to a number of issues, certainly inadequate elevators in terms of not just enough realistically for people to use. They've been retrofitted with sprinkler systems. Obviously, when they were first designed, they did not have sprinkler systems. Fire suppression systems, they've been put in, but the nature of that building is that the elevator shaft sits below the ground level, so whenever a sprinkler system is tripped, the elevator pit fills with water, short circuits the control board, and then the elevators are out of action for some time, 24 to 48 hours. The reason why, when we talk about new construction, being able to be constructed from the ground up, fit for purpose, is exactly that. So we can meet our current day standards. We're not trying to retrofit something that is people's homes. We're not talking about a business premises that might be used for a certain amount of hours of the day and be able to manoeuvre its use around. These are people's homes, and I absolutely stand here in opposition to this motion and support of the work of the government, and I will leave my comments there. Thank you. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh.